To the program, it's still Morning Delight on Lagos Television Open Access segment this morning, where we engage you viewers on relevant discussions. And this morning, a very, very different discussion we'll be having. And of course, we have a resource person in the house. So we're taking a look at animal rights in Nigeria. Just like humans have rights, animals also do have rights. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, are you for real? In fact, the Nigerian Constitution also has alluded to the fact that prohibits acts of cruelty to animals. Section 495 of the Criminal Code of 1990 stipulates that there is a prohibition against acts of cruelty to animals. I guess to be helping us take a look at this morning, what are some of the rights that these animals, can access? Yes, they can't talk, but at least. So, Chiemeka Chigozie, animal rights activist, thank you very much for coming on the program this morning. This is the first time I'm coming across someone who, is an animal rights activist. But very quickly, let's start this way. Animals, they have rights. What are the rights that animals do have? If we'll start the discussion that way.
First and foremost, animal rights are the rights animals have in the environment without being subjected to the desires of human beings.
Okay.
And then the rights are very many. Like for example, you have the right to live. And then, when I mean the right to live, these animals need to walk freely.
Every animal or certain animals?
No, every animal.
Okay. Okay, please go ahead, because this is going to get really, really interesting. If animals have a right to live, have a right to cohabit in their own environment, what about some of the dangers that they pose to us as humans? For example, if we're talking about a lion or a snake, so do they still have rights?
Yeah, every animal, like we have human rights.
Okay.
Every animal too have their own equal rights.
Okay.
There shouldn't be any segregation, whether some are wild, whether some are domestic animals.
Okay.
After it is God that created them, so they also have equal rights we should have.
Okay.
That's why we have different stages of animals, different categories. We have working animals, we have the wild animals, we have farm animals.
Okay.
We also have animals used in experiments.
Okay. So now, you are trying to put them into their categories now.
Categories.
So let's take a look at two very important categories now: the domestic animals and the wild animals. We do know that the wild animals definitely shouldn't be around the homes. So for the domestic animals, can you name some of the animals that will fall into that category?
Yes, domestic animals are the animals that live around us.
Okay.
Like for example, we have the cats. Then we have the cats, we have the dogs. Then we have rabbits.
Okay.
So these animals, I feel that they can be close to us.
Okay.
Because they are man's best friend. So they're not hurtful like the wild animals.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why I say we have the categories of the animals. So
But I know some people that they lay ambush for cats, and so when they find cats, it's a good meal for some category of people. People also eat dogs, and then so if we know that these animals have rights, should we be doing that to them? Is that animal cruelty?
yeah, that is animal cruelty, and that's what for me I stand to preach anywhere I go. It is animal cruelty, it is animal abuse. These animals deserve the equal right we have. They're not supposed to be killed illegally.
Oh, so there's a legal way that you can actually kill them.
Exactly. So that's what people don't really understand. That is animal cruelty, the legal killings of these animals.
Okay, so what are the legal ways? I mean, if you were to kill a dog or a cat for your own reasons best known to you, what are the legal ways? How do you go about them? You're laughing. I mean, I said this would be very...
we have a normal way of killing some of these animals, which I think they are very much okay, like the chickens. It depends on individual.
Right.
It depends on individual, the way you want to kill those animals. Like for example, in China, for example, they want to kill their cow. This cow, what they do first is, they have to inject those cows in China.
Kill them.
Yeah, because when they inject those cows, it will weaken their muscles, and then they will pour hot water on them, or they dip them inside hot water.
After being injected.
After they've been injected, to weaken their muscles.
So they don't slit the throats.
It's like we do here.
Like
so every country varies, the way they kill the animals. So that's why I still relate to the animal, cruelty, the animal, but the way this animal, because this animal too, they have feelings, they have emotions. So they feel what you feel. So when you cut them, they feel the same pain we feel.
Right.
And that's why, you know, the way they kill the animals in China, especially the cows, is not too good enough. You know, so after which they start peeling the skin before they finally kill the cow. So
I mean, the cow is subjected to some inhuman treatments before, or in animal treatments before the final. All right, my guest is here. I said this will be a very interesting discussion this morning. Should you have questions, observations, or you'd like to make your comments, the numbers are right there on your screen. You can call the studio line 0811-266-8143. That is the only number you are allowed to call. You can call the studio line and we'll take your comments and observations this morning. Remember to tell us your name and where you're calling from. And the numbers to send your SMS and WhatsApp to are displayed on your screen. Please send in your messages this morning. Remember to include your name as well and where your messages are coming from. And let's come back to the discussion. The wild animals. Because they are not close to humans, they are in their own environment. And so if you were to kill, or if you were to, how do you treat those kind of animals? For example, if you were on a trip to a reserve where, you know, you have animals around there, how best can you approach those animals as a visitor to such a place?
In that kind of case, you know, when you go to a trip like that, because they are wild animals, you know, I guess those animals are caged. So visitors are not allowed into the premises because they are caged. So what you do as a visitor is just go there and then whatever you have to give them, like the monkeys. I've had cases where, you know, people go to the zoos, you know, where we have the monkeys and they give them bananas. You know, just to eat. So, and they're always very happy when they see people coming around them. So they only have something to give to them. Okay. I could remember I was in Lufasi, you know, that was in April for the World Earth Day. Okay. So I was privileged to...
Lufasi is after Ikorodu?
Yes, after, no, the one at Lekki.
Oh, the one at Lekki.
Owned by Desmond, Majekodumi.
Okay.
So lucky enough, when we got there, you know, we were many. And then the monkey, when they saw us coming, they were very happy. I said, you know, they were very happy to see us.
Did you take any gifts?
They were taking, you know, whatever they see from you, they will take from you. So that is, you can see that these animals are very wise too, and they are very intelligent. So as a visitor, when you are going there, you just have to be very, you know, very careful. Okay.
Now, I'll come back to take a few messages, but very quickly, again, I'm still very particular about, we also have stray animals. And there was a time that the Lagos State government also passed a law against stray animals. So if an animal were, if an animal was said to have gone astray, especially in Lagos here, so if you come in contact with such an animal, how would you treat them? Especially here we have so many goats, unowned, unmanned, and people just, you know, take advantage and they take these animals. So for stray animals, how best do you treat them? Do you so when you find a stray animal, where do you take the animal to? You see, when it comes to stray animals, our major concern in Africa, especially in Nigeria, are the dogs. Whereas we have so many stray animals in the streets, without being identified. The owners are not there. But our main focus here in Nigeria is the dogs. So if for me, if I find a stray animal like the dogs, you know, what we have to do as Nigerians is to take those dogs, you know, to the animal shelter. Is there a shelter? That is the problem. We have, you know, but we don't have enough in this country. How many do we have? How many do you know that we the one I know, the one I know is somewhere at Igondo. Okay. Is a friend. He's also an animal activist. They majorly focus on dogs. And that's a private one anyway. It's a private one. So we don't have a government one. Okay. Then we have this animal, you know, in the street, and people take advantage of them because they're not identified. I like the word I said, people take advantage of animals. You know? People take advantage. All right, let's take a message here. Don Sam, of course, our own Don Sam from Agbede says, he started by saying smiles. It is only here in Nigeria that people kill animals anyhow and with pride. They will kill them and still pose with them on the roadside for sale. We'll come to that. What a straight way to prison. I had once killed a snake in my yard outside the country that nearly landed me into trouble. I had to vacate that facility that same day to avoid stories that touch. So in all honesty, I doubt if any animals' right bills can be adhered to in Nigeria, but it will be a very beautiful thing if we can treat animals the way other developed countries do. It is so beautiful to behold free animals playing around our facilities unharmed. Good morning, Nigerians. Thank you, Don Sam. Now this one says, please, which right does a cow have not to be killed in Nigeria for consumption? Or Motayo from Ikorodu. You said animals have emotions. Want to really know how you discovered that, and little explanation about how their emotional display. Shibidike from Makodi, Benue State. So we'll take more messages, but let's quickly treat these three ones. So let's talk about emotional. How do you know that animals have emotion? I know because I've seen a lot of cows when you want to kill them, the way their eyes are, and some kick if you don't cut them properly. So take us through the emotions that animals have. And then also, can we really have rights of animals being upheld in Nigeria?
Okay, let me talk about the emotions of these animals.
Right.
Like we have human emotions. Sometimes these animals too, you know, at the point of death, they shed tears. And that's why for me, I've taken up this project because sometimes I feel for them a lot, that these animals, you know, have equal rights. They should not be killed.
Okay.
Now, I remember one time I went to see a sister of mine who has a dog. When the dog had a cut in his head, I was able to stay 2 weeks. I had to stay 2 days because each time I come out and I see the dogs, you know, with the cut, trying to chase the flies. So I was not convenient, you know. You see the cow, you see the dogs, most time crying.
Let me quickly hold your thought on that. I understand we have a caller online.
Whereby, you know, there's governments can come into this.
Good morning.
Those people that have animals, if you know you cannot train it, yes, please, there are places to take it. The way people adopt babies, adopt human beings, we can adopt some of these animals for them because they don't have what it takes to. You see someone doing intrusive system of animal farming and doesn't have what it takes. He does have there on bed, some not vaccinated, and some of the animals have some diseases that can transfer to human beings, like brucellosis and the likes of it. So this thing has done very difficult, and I want to employ. We take this thing seriously because they affect human beings.
Right.
So the health of our animals is also our health as an individual.
Thank you.
So that's just my own contribution.
Thank you very much for your contribution.
Animals seriously.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your contribution this morning. So you've also corroborated the fact that animals do have rights and this should be taken as seriously as possible. You were talking about emotions.
Yeah, still on emotion. You know, take for example some tribes in Nigeria, the way they kill their dogs. I don't want to mention the tribes. You know, they'll put the living dog inside the sack, and they start moving the dog from the sack. You see the dog struggling to death. You see, at that point, he's not happy.
Right.
You know, with tears. As long as this animal, before you see them killed, before you kill them, you see them struggling.
Yes.
Because they do really, that is the emotional aspect of it.
Okay.
And when you also allow your animals, you know, to go through a kind of hunger, when you don't feed them, you also see the emotional aspect of it. They will feel it. Sometimes, you know, in the sun, for example, you have a chained dog, and then you put the chained dog outside your house. If rain falls, you know,
is on it.
Is on it, you know, sun. You know, you see them, they feel this.
That's why it's okay
pain.
that you should have a kennel.
A kennel, you know, or take them to animal shelter where they can be taken good care of.
Okay.
So that's when the emotion aspect comes in, you know, for the animals.
And so when it comes to the person who asked, so what does the rights, the cow that we eat, what kind of rights do they have? I mean, if we slaughter the cow and people buy them and then they eat them, would you also say that such a cow has rights?
Yeah, of course, you know, he has the right to live, no matter what.
To live, but then, okay, all right. This one is very funny. But then, good morning. Please help me ask your guest: does a rat have the same rights too? And you know rats can be very destructive.
Yeah,
and I know a lot of people use gum.
I was expecting that question anyway.
You use gum. Is that I mean, is that cool enough?
I was expecting that question.
Right,
anyway.
So please answer the question.
You want to say animals?
Animals generally.
Generally.
It doesn't leave out.
There's no limitation to this one. Whichever one, you know, animals have rights. Like we have, we know the right. I remember there's this poster I used to have from the UK by Petal.
Okay.
people for the animal, people for the ethical treatment of the animals. So I use those poster attempt to teach the kids about animal welfare.
Okay.
That's what I do in schools.
Right.
And then from that poster, they wrote "Share the word," and they also wrote "Everyone matters."
Everyone matters.
Even the animal kingdom, there's a golden rule: do unto animals. Don't do unto animal what you don't want others to do unto you.
Okay.
So it's a golden rule.
Okay.
So all animals matters, whether they are small or they are big.
All right. Okay, let's take a few more messages here. Ademu Moritala from Okukumaiko. My question is, what is the legal way to kill animals in Nigeria? I think that question has not been answered.
Yeah, I was also expecting that question.
Right, so go ahead.
So the legal way of killing the animals in this country, like I said before, not that these animals should not be killed.
Okay.
But they should be killed legally.
How?
If you go through the normal process, like if you want to kill,
okay, go ahead.
like for example the chicken, most people kill their chicken by putting the chicken inside a boiling hot water, in most cases.
I'm sure they will slit the throat first before putting.
But some, like I gave example of China.
In China.
These are not legal way of the killing of the animals.
Okay.
Because of they go through
So
a lot
I mean,
of
if
pains,
okay, so for example, you mentioned the chicken. So what is the legal way? I mean, are we allowed to slit the throat of the chicken?
Of course,
Okay.
Like for example, like the cows here, the way they kill the cow, like the Muslims, I think that is it. That could be a legal way of killing the animals.
By slitting the throat.
By slitting, which is normal.
Okay.
Not the other way around.
Okay.
So.
All right, Ademu Muritala, I hope that question has been answered. This one says, please spare me this animal rights issue. Take goat for example. If I place my food in the kitchen and the goat eats the food, should I fold my hands and agree to animal rights in this hard time? Akolade from Akure. Over to you.
That's why people like us, we are trying to ensure that every Nigerians, see this matter to be a very important matter. For the issue of the goat, if I were to be in a shoe, I would not bother.
So you would leave your food there the next time?
Next time I will learn how to keep my food inside,
Okay.
But for that moment, I will not do anything.
Right. Because even if you kill the goat, it doesn't bring back the food.
It doesn't bring back the food.
But you can. Some people.
And that's why we need to copy
goats.
the Western world.
Yeah.
The way they treat the animals.
Okay.
With passion.
Okay.
With human feelings.
Earlier I was also concerned about a snake. Yeah. Don Sam also said, I mean, some time ago in where he was when he killed a snake, he almost paid through his nose. Now somebody is asking here, what is the legal way of killing a snake? While Samuel Janeko from Kogi State says, in some countries like South Africa, once you see a snake around your environment, you can call snake experts to help you capture the snake. In that case, you don't have to kill the snake. But in Nigeria, do we have such experts that you can call at any time you sight a snake in your house or environment? So I'm going to add my own question to this too. Would you wait to get a snake expert before killing a snake that you know can actually harm you in your home?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
Because we don't have the
experts.
The experts.
Okay.
That's why people sometimes do what they're not supposed to do at a particular point in time. But when we have an expert, the best thing is to call.
Okay.
They will come and then figure where the snake is.
How long would you wait for an expert to come before attacking something that could cause you harm?
Instead of attacking, what I'll do is just leave the house, and then beckon on some people that can help you. But you have our own way of catching some of the snakes.
So you would wait to capture the snake?
Yeah, capture, Some of them are not really actually there to hurt.
Okay. All right. I'm sure that I'm not going to wait as well. Favor from Bayelsa State Fair. Please, I want to ask if it is legal to have wild animals like a lion and then to train it, okay? We'll come back to that. Good morning, presenters. I'm really enjoying this program. Please, Emeka, you said animals have emotions. He already explained that. Romeo from Enugu explained the emotions of these animals. I'm sorry to say Nigerian can't allow human to have rights, talk less of animals. Olamikbo from Lagos. Okay, so let's come to laws. I mean, if we're talking about the need for animals to have their rights upheld in a country like Nigeria, and earlier on we noticed that our constitution actually has a space for animal cruelty. Now, should there be enabling laws in the country that will further guarantee that the rights of these animals are upheld? If there are laws, under which units will those laws function?
Okay. That's a very good question. I think because these laws are not functioning, that's why you see Nigerians aggressively killing the animals. But when the law are put in place and everybody knows about it, it will limit the rate at which we go about killing these animals. Now, talking about animal laws, you mentioned the other law, the other time, the Criminal Code of 1990, 495, prohibit the act of killing of the animals. And they also have in our section 1999 Constitution, chapter 50, I guess, they also talk about the prohibition of the animal killings. That whoever violates it, there's an imprisonment. It's 6 months from the Constitution.
Right.
That the person should pay a fine of 15 naira.
Now, is it animal killing or animal cruelty?
Animal cruelty.
Right. So cruelty does not necessarily mean killing.
That is what people don't know.
So you can actually be cruel to an animal without necessarily killing it.
Killing them.
So you can actually, ill-treat your animals. You can beat the dog, you can beat the goat, and do others. So there's a need to clarify that it's not necessarily killings, but cruelty generally.
Cruelty generally.
To animals.
The abuse.
Okay, abuse to animals. All right. Few more messages here. Good morning, Abimbola. Animals cannot be given any rights because human beings are still struggling to be given rights by our dear government in Nigeria. Alao Garba from Mile 12. Thank you very much. Please, is there a place mapped out for keeping of all those stray animals? Because most homes can hardly eat 2 square meals, let alone feeding the animals. I asked earlier on where stray animals can be taken to, and you said you only know one place, and that is even a private facility. But of what importance is it again for government to create a facility for stray animals to be deposited, so that when people find these animals that are not owned by people, they can actually call a relevant agency or take those animals there?
I think it's also very important if government can come in here.
Okay.
To set up, enough kennels or animal shelter, so that if you see any of these animals in the streets, stray animals, those who are concerned can pick them up and then drop them at the shelter, so that the owners can also go there and then trace their stray animals. But concern Nigerians too, if you go there and if this person that loves animals a lot, you can go there and then adopt, any of these animals, start training them like you have, them in the Western world. People do that.
Right.
Because they are forgotten, they are abandoned pets. They are stray animals, so nobody is there to take care of them. So if you are okay and you feel you want to, I've seen cases of people who do that. Even if in the US, he has a dog, presently, and he adopted the dog.
Adopted the
dog, in a shelter house.
Okay.
And the dog has been with her now for a very long time.
Wow.
Such a loving dog.
Well, that's a working system, really. Those are things that you can actually have in a working system. A few more messages here. Faith from Ikotun says, the Bible makes us to understand that we should be slaughtering the animals, not by injecting and putting in hot water, because we'll still eat the chicken and the injection is chemical. Very good. Joseph says, you said animals should not be killed for consumption. Did you say that? Please, can you tell us what to use instead of animal? I think you need to clarify that. Did you say that animals should not be killed for consumption?
I didn't say that.
No, he didn't say that. He said there are ways to go about killing those animals. Go to Alabarago, Ojo local government, and see things for yourself. Chikadibia Umuna. If a cow eats rice in my rice farm, how am I to handle such animal? If animal has rights, why do they kill them? When you kill someone that has rights, what is his right then? Where is the right of something that are made for you to kill and eat? TIC from Port Harcourt. Favor from Calabar says, what is the legal way of killing a cockroach? Please. All right. Good morning, Ma. Please let me ask your guest, does he eat meat? And what is the best way to kill an animal like lion? Okay. Now let's go back to wild animals. A lion is considered as a wild animal, and you really would not even have a lion close to the homes, especially if otherwise, if you have, maybe they are trained and you
they are tamed already.
But for those who live in the wild. Of course, they won't even kill their animals in the first place. But how best do you treat animals that are in the wild, tamed and wild animals? Since we're talking here, because a lot of people are mistaking cruelty for animal rights generally. So we're not talking about just killing animals here. We're talking about when you treat animals in a bad way. Right. So again, what are the acceptable ways that you can treat the animals, and in that way, we're talking about their rights being upheld?
Animal cruelty, it can encompasses, for example, the legal killing of the animals. Not just that.
Okay.
When you shout at your dog.
When you shout at your dog, really?
It's also.
I can shout at my dog.
It's also animal abuse. It's animal abuse. Yelling at them, shouting,
and then talking down at them, kicking them.
Beating. I've been on.
Dogs can actually be stubborn.
I've been on several TV shows like this where I talk about animal cruelty.
Yeah.
I think I was in one. So while I was discussing, the producer started show a video. He played a video of a man who had like 5 or 6 dogs, and he hung those dogs, and he was eating them.
Okay, that's cruelty.
So it's bad. It's cruelty.
That's cruelty. All right. This one says, aren't there limitations to animal rights? Because you can't imagine a rat not asking for your permission before entering your house. That is breaking an entry. Guts in NNA. Okay. Okay. Now, again, let's go back to, we've not answered that question that I raised earlier on, talking about shelters for stray animals, and if we had to have enabling laws to take those animals to shelters, who should be driving such an initiative? Are you looking at the local government? Are you looking at the state government? Let's leave the federal government out. Okay. Let's come home. So who should be driving such an initiative? Is it the Ministry of Agriculture at the state level, or should there also now be a Department for Animal Rights?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure we have the Ministry of the Animals.
Definitely.
Then when you go to the abattoir, you see the way these animals have been slaughtered.
But they're being controlled by the Ministry of Agriculture.
But sometimes those abattoirs, you see the way that the animals have been killed there. It's always a very dirty place. And I keep asking myself, where's the Minister of Agriculture?
Yeah, but for the standard abattoirs, you have mechanized way of slaughtering the cows. Maybe just those ones that are not regulated, that you still have things being done.
And that's why I said, if I had to exclude the federal now, I think the state government can also do something.
Okay. And
also the local governments. But the most important thing is let's have a working system. When the laws are put into place, when the laws are there, but the laws are not enacted, they're not being enforced by the people, and that's why people still aggressively kill these animals. So when the laws are actually put in place, and then people know, nobody will go about killing the animals illegally. So that's why we need to talk about the laws. When the laws are functioning, it will be better. Everybody will know.
Okay. All right. This one says, animal is something that every household should have, but lack of adequate provision for sustainable life in Nigeria make we citizens think it's a waste of resources. Leiko from Koka here in Lagos. This one says, I agree that animals have rights, but my question is, if we grant animals rights, there should be facilities to control street animals. That's what we just raised now. And also make the environment conducive enough to prevent dangerous animals like snakes and pests like rats, mosquitoes, and the rest. Again, animals have souls too. Handle them with love. Okay? Now, we've identified that animals have emotions. They have their rights. Okay, hello, good morning, sir.
Hello, I'm my name Luke Ojonugwa, calling Mabuja.
Thank you for calling in.
Hello,
we can hear you.
I want to contribute about the animal rights.
Please go on, sir.
So my contribution goes like this. If animals truly have a right, why can't Nigeria and federal government initiate if rule in Nigeria have, and if in Nigeria believe in animal rights, why can't Nigeria initiate Ministry of Animal Rights? You see the way army bandits, Fulani headmen are killing people like cow. They did not care about human rights. But now we are here to discuss animal rights. You see, may God help this country.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Again, we need to go back to laws, enabling laws. Because if we do have enabling laws that can guarantee the rights of animals, then perhaps we'll begin to have better stories to tell in the future. So, I mean, you are an activist. Are you the only one in this particular field, or do you know others, and are you collaborating to say how this can be a national policy?
Yeah, before I actually come there, you know, and that's why I've taken this animal rights issue to the kids in their schools.
Okay.
I've been doing that for the past 12 years now, teaching them animal rights and animal welfare. Okay. The reason I'm doing it because I want to catch them young so that when they grow, they not become white.
So they can understand.
That if every Nigerians will key into these animal rights issues, the rate at which to kill our fellow human beings will reduce. Because it will start from us, you know, feeling for the animals. And then I do not see reason why a normal person will not find it very difficult to kill his or her fellow human being.
Okay.
And then talking about the animal law, I said, you know, the laws are there, but the law need to be enacted. Need to be enforced. Imagine, you know, I said imprisonment of 6 months, and then we have 15 naira fine to let you know that this law 15 naira is fine at that time. So ever since then, no, it has never been, you know, enacted. No law, no new law has come, you know. Like for example, in Hong Kong, if you are caught for animal abuse, the person will pay a fine of $200.
Wow.
In Hong Kong. No, I think China, in Kenya too, they have a very strong animal law.
Yes, because you know they have reserves and all.
They have all of this. The same thing also in Ethiopia. So these are countries in Africa.
Let's quickly
strong animal law.
Before we wrap up this morning, there was a story that I saw in the front page of one of the papers, and I was glad that we would be talking about this particular discussion, where the customs was said to have seized 22 billion animal parts. So, I mean, I know that other countries are very serious when you import animal, especially the tusk, the elephant tusk, or some of those other things, especially when you watch things like border security, and you see when people come to airports and they do not declare what they are carrying, and they later find them carrying either dead animals or other animals, they are subjected to fines, or those animals confiscated from them and taken to their own wild lives. Are we getting to a point where in Nigeria we would also begin to see this happen now that custom is seizing 22 billion animal parts from coming into the country?
I think we are getting there soon, you know, but everybody needs to come together. You know, we can't just leave government only to do this. So it's everybody's. It has to be a collective responsibilities. Everybody needs to be involved. We can't be folding our hands and then we are waiting for the government to help us do some of these things. I remember one time I was in Ethiopia, you know, for the African Animal Welfare Conference. So luckily enough, I met with, you know, a man called Mr. Simon, who is into donkey. He's a donkey expert. So they came to Abuja and they had a program, you know, for the donkey. You know, the skin of the donkey trade. So lucky enough, I was in Abuja, you know, with other key ministers. The way we are trying to enact a law, to come up with a law that anybody found exporting the donkey skin to other countries should be fined. I think we are still working on that law very soon, because it's where the skin, the donkey skin is being exported.
We'll come to conclude.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. We can hear you.
Yes. I want to take this program.
Please go on.
And I want to ask the man on seat, as a human being, is Nigeria, can he claim that in Nigeria he has a right? As a human being, talk about an animal. Is he having any right?
Okay. All right. Is that your question? Is that your question, sir? Okay, I think we lost that caller. So he was asking if, you know, you have rights. Definitely, I'm sure every human being, but, you know, so that it won't be, I'm not the one answering for you. As a Nigerian, do you have a right?
Why not?
Okay, you have a right to live, you have a right to, and so do these animals.
The animals too, they have right to live.
Okay. Promise Obodo from Rivers State, are the rights of the animals enshrined in the Constitution? In a part of the Constitution, animal cruelty is stated clearly in that part of the Constitution. Before we wrap up, I'll look for that again and let you know. So it is part of our Constitution. It's just that it's been long that it was done. And just like he said, the fine is 50 naira if you're found guilty. So you can imagine how long ago that was done. So it is enshrined in the Constitution. Very quickly before we wrap up this morning, I mean, it is an enlightenment campaign. So this one says, Ojubanire from Cote d'Ivoire. I think, guest, what about people who hunt animals for a living? The hunters. Are they committing any crime?
Of course.
They are committing.
They are committing.
So who should
and that's why, you
them?
know, I keep telling you that the government can come in, you know. Government should also keep the forest guard, for example.
The forest guard.
Forest guard, you know. To forest guard, so that people who hunt animals would not do those things anymore. Where the pokers.
I'm sure a lot of people will come for you this morning.
You know?
A lot of people will come for you this morning. Okay, so animals have right to live and be loved, but when it comes to killing them and eating them, when the need arises, there is no right to that. They were made for man's consumption by God. The animal right thing is not normal. As for snake, it is harmful, so it must be killed at sight. If possible, we have more important things to attend to in this country. Gideon from Akwa Ibom, you said, please read. I've read. Thank you. More important things, but this is also important. I think a lot of people are missing the points this morning. We're not saying you cannot kill those animals. Our guest is just saying there's a way to go about killing those animals. Don't subject them to cruelty when you are doing that. So that is the message we're passing this morning. I hope you're not, you know, mistaking the conversation, the way we are going about it this morning. As we wrap up finally this morning, where are you going from here? I mean, you've been taking this campaign to schools, especially to children, but there's a need to also cascade this to governments, relevant stakeholders. So are you also looking at working with people like Desmond Magic Kodomi of Lufasi Park and a other host of others who have private zoos around, especially in Lagos, to see how you can take the gospel of animal rights further in Nigeria?
Yeah, like I said before, you know, it's not just only me. We have some of us who are passionate about these animals. That's why I see me going to conferences, you know. I've met with Desmond Magic Kodomi before, and I discussed with him, you know, he's an environmentalist.
Right.
And also we have Mr. Alex Akingbe, who is also into African Cleanup Initiative, to ensure that, you know, these animals are protected in the environment. So I have other, you know, other animal activists. We are working together to ensure that, you know, there's a law.
Okay.
So that every Nigerians would know about these laws. Okay. So that we can protect the rights of the animals.
Of the animals, all right. We'll have to leave the conversation here this morning, but if you still have questions, comments, observations, you can still go ahead to send them in. After Eco Enterprise will get to read more of your messages. But our guest will be leaving us now, Chemika Chigozie, animal rights activist. Thank you very much for coming on the program this morning. We'll take another quick break. When the program returns, it'll be time for Sports Splash. Stay with us on Morning Delight.